How everyone, welcome to the new episode of the Prime You series of interviews with top business and technology experts. Today, I'm super delighted and excited to welcome Rona Hirsch, who is DevOps engineer at Komodor. Rona, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me today. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure. So, Rona, I'd like to start off our conversation from DevOps, right? We all know that it's one of the top methodologies right now in the tech industry. It's got its momentum right throughout, like large companies and small companies, right? And it has evolved from agile and continuous deployment. So maybe you could tell us more about your vision and the trends of DevOps and where the methodology is heading to.
For me, first, DevOps, it's how I started my career. So it's really close to my heart. And I think that DevOps has a really bright future ahead, and it has a huge market that only since 2009 only continues to evolve and grow, focusing on invoking innovation and pushing things forward and bridging the gap between companies and customers' needs. And I think that DevOps is really becoming more important than ever. You see it everywhere. Everyone is talking about it. And there's a reason for it, because it's such main focus inside companies and the tech industry. So in terms of what I think will be the future of DevOps in 2022, what will be the main features and movements that we'll see. So first, I think, is the cloud. We'll see a lot more movement towards the cloud, especially under the circumstances of the COVID pandemic, which forced people and is still forcing people to work from home. So I think a lot of companies are now less afraid about cloud costs and security and so on, and really prefer to move their environments and infrastructure into the cloud instead of an on-prem solution. Next, I think we'll see a lot more of the microservices architecture. That it is essentially cutting your application into small chunks or pieces that are scalable and flexible. The shift to microservices is not a given fact, and it keeps on happening since it is still not the default choice for many organizations that still follow the monolith architecture. So this trend is not new, but it promotes the same idea as DevOps of efficiency, agility, and modularity. And I think we'll see more of that to come. Another movement that I think will be a part of DevOps future is DevSecOps. It is also not a new concept, but it just keeps on evolving since companies make security one of the first requirements to tackle. And security is really main part of DevOps pipelines and processes. As a DevOps engineer, I don't recall seeing any release cycle that doesn't include some kind of pipeline or process, some kind of security pipeline or process. So I think that security and DevOps will continue to go hand in hand in the future. And next, I think that infrastructure as code is really here to stay. As the name suggests, infrastructure as code is all about having your infrastructure defined and managed as code. By turning your entire infrastructure into lines of code, you can basically automate everything, and you gain a lot, and you gain easy rollback and recovery. And it also enables a lot more visibility. since code has history. So people can see who changed what and when. And actually, a lot of companies nowadays require their DevOps to manage the infrastructure as code and not do anything manually, since it always causes issues and problems, and you can't really know what's going on. And last but not least is Kubernetes. That everyone knows that Kubernetes is de facto standard for container orchestration. And I think it is definitely here to stay. I work at Komodor, so obviously I think that way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the focus now shifts from treating Kubernetes only as an infrastructure system, more on the ops side, to a system which is more approachable to devs. So devs can use Kubernetes more efficiently and with ease than ever before. So that's how I see DevOps and DevOps future in 2022, at least.
Yeah, that's Rona, that's a great, and profound answer, right? You broke it down into several very important pieces. And, I would, go back to that part where you said about microservices and security, right? Mm-hmm. So many would see microservices as, this continuous deployment, right? In the past, there used to be like maybe one deployment in a week. Now you can have like multiple during an hour deployments, right? And many might see this as a potential threat for security. Mm-hmm. What is your vision on that? And how can companies like Komodor help businesses to mitigate those risks?
Well, I think there's always a risk. There's always issues of security and risks and everything related to tech and code and but I think you gain a lot more. There are a lot more advantages when using microservices instead of just one huge application that really is hard to manage and hard to deploy, and it's really you gain a lot more if you just break down your application into microservices. It does come with its complexities and maybe security issues, but I think if you have a good team and you have people that know what they're doing, such as DevOps engineers and devs, then you really can overcome those issues and overcome all the problems that might come because of it. So I think that Komodor is really trying to help with that and really trying to show you what's going on in your system and what's going on your clusters. So you'll see if there's some issue anywhere in the system, Komodor will show you that and will you'll be aware immediately that there's an issue, and therefore you can be relaxed that you'll fix it right away, or you'll at least notice that there's a problem. So yeah,
that's a great answer, and that actually a very profound one. Recently, I heard in the news that Komodor has released a new open source project called ValidKube. Maybe you could give us understanding what is the project about and what kind of pain points it's going to help solve, right? So
yeah. Sure. So I'm super excited to talk about ValidKube. ValidKube is an awesome open source tool by Komodor. ValidKube is designed to help developers quickly validate, clean, and secure their Kubernetes YAML code all in one central place. ValidKube actually fuses together three other popular open source projects, KubeVal, kubectl init, and Trivi. The KubeVal project is used to validate Kubernetes configuration files. The kubectl init project is used to clean up Kubernetes YAML and JSON output to make it readable. And the Trivi project is used to scan for vulnerabilities in container images, file systems, and Git repositories. So what ValidKube does is it brings together these projects in a single view that provides DevSecOps with a quick way to ensure YAML code hygiene and security within a few clicks. At Komodor, we actually want to support the Kubernetes community and ecosystem by building tools that will remove friction points and knowledge gaps. And that's what we hope we've accomplished with ValidKube. The idea really is to make life easier for everyone and essentially bridge the gap between ops and devs. And well, since Kubernetes is relatively new in its adoption, many engineers are still struggling with concepts and best practices. And especially when talking about YAML files, if those of, if you work with YAML files before, you know that they are super tricky. It's really easy to make mistakes. It's really easy to push some bad YAML file into production and ruin your CI/CD, your environment, or whatever. It's really hard to do. So it's really easy to do. Sorry. So I think ValidKube is really here to help with that and help avoid these issues and really make it easier for devs and ops to use YAML files. So it's an awesome project, I think, and you can find it on GitHub or simply by accessing validkube.com. So go check it out.
So it's on the website, right? So anyone, it's open source, so anyone who is interested to have these 3 projects unite into one single pane, so you can have it all in one. So this is something that you offer to dev teams. Excellent. Right. I think, that's, as you said, it's going to simplify the work, right? The work process for many developers. I got this. Rona, I wanted to take a step back from technology, right? And talk about your career. I talk with a lot of women in tech, great expert like yourself. And we talk about this, like, I would be curious to know why you have decided to pursue a career in technology. Since we all know it's a male-dominated industry. So what was your decision inspired by?
Yeah. So you're right about, that it is a male-dominated industry. And I've actually decided to pursue a career in technology since I've seen how the computer industry and technology as a whole has affected the world I grew up in. And I wanted to know more about it and to make an impact myself. And actually, as a child and a teenager, I wasn't around computers that much. I wasn't one of those kids, that sit around and code all day. So it was really new for me. It was unknown and therefore very exciting. And it seems like a big challenge. And I made it a goal to myself to overcome the fears I had and show myself that I can study computer science and I can have a career in technology if I wanted to. And also, I think I thought it will be really cool to, build stuff that people are going to use and benefit from. So that is why I chose to go ahead and study computer science and invest in the tech industry. in terms of the, being a part of an industry which is male dominated, I think the biggest challenge for me was self-doubt. I think women in tech, and maybe women altogether, tend to think that they are not as good as their male peers. So they don't believe in themselves enough, and that really holds them back. And as a result, they often don't ask for what they deserve. Like, so for example, they don't get the same promotion opportunities or the same salary and so on. And I think that you can really fill the gap. It's not from, you can fill the gap not from the industry, but even earlier from the university. The discrepancy between the number of women to men who are enrolled to computer science. You can see it from there. And at the end of the day, I want to be treated and labeled not as a female DevOps or developer. I want to be a DevOps or developer. So I think that trying to talk about men and women separately is doing a disservice for women, and because we are all the same at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective that you're bringing. Yeah, and I like the point which you made about being persistent. Mm-hmm. That even though you have not been exposed from early childhood to computers and technology, once you decided to build your career in that, and you denied that, self-doubt, right, that you might not be capable of, you actually mm-hmm. succeeded. And that is something, it's a very important message to everyone, as you said, right? You nicely put that together, that it's not only for women, it's also for men. Yeah, so Rona, that's a great point here. And but I will still, my next question is about a little bit dividing, right? So since you mentioned that it starts earlier in a career, so not so many women, they enter university in that tech specialties, right, faculties. Mm-hmm. And later there's no so many women working at companies. So what can the industry do and companies do to encourage more women to actually study technology, to be, successful in technology, right? So what, from your perspective?
That's a great question. So I think that nowadays there is more awareness for promoting and encouraging women to pursue careers in tech. Early from elementary school and high school. There is still a lack of women in the industry because there is still less exposure and awareness. And there are not as many women role models as men. So exactly. You always hear about men who occupy big positions and roles and doing great things, and you hardly ever hear about women. And that's really discouraging for women. It makes it hard for women to relate to that. And I think that if women would have heard more news about women in key positions in the tech industry, it will make it much more encouraging to be part of the industry as well. And also, there are still ancient opinions that women are less suitable for tech and that this industry is not suitable for mothers. So in order to make a difference and get more female involvement in the industry, companies really have to make an effort. There are more, I think, basic and easy investments, such as changing the format of job descriptions, making sure they are neutral, or making sure that they address both he and she. or by publishing news articles, posts about women that will be visible to all, that women are actually working in the tech industry and are doing great things. Other than that, there are more substantial things, such as promoting the firm in women's forums, supporting women initiatives. For example, there is an amazing women developers community named She Codes that operates in Israel and strives to help women integrate into and advance in the high-tech world. So if a company, for example, would support She Codes by maybe financially sponsoring it, or by maybe sending women in R&D key positions to give lectures or pass coding workshops, that will make it I think women and girls who are coming to She Codes will be more encouraged to work for this company. Other things that could be done are promoting women from inside a company. Obviously, well-deserved promotions, right? Not just promotions based on gender. That's not.
That's not our purpose. Exactly.
No. Give the benefits to parents, paternity leave for men, understanding that going back working full-time after maternity leave is not that easy when you have a 3-month-old baby at home. So maybe flexible hours, hybrid job, and so on would all attract women and men to come and work for the company and for the tech industry.
Yeah, those are all great points. And I like about the, inclusive culture, right? That often starts from very beginning for those, job descriptions that sometimes, we think the language does not hurt, right? So writing something about some job position as a male, right? So you expect the male to apply for that job, but that's a very good point that you have actually made, that it should be gender neutral or include both of these. And I also like about the organization that you have in Israel that actually helps and supports women right in their careers, because it's very often you might lose that, that self-doubt may win, right? If you don't see the support and encouragement. So that is super important, Rona, that you have pointed out that. Yeah, so there are lots of women that are already in tech, and there are even probably more that aspire to build their careers. So your example would be a great aspiration, right, and motivation for young women to build their career, successful career in technology. So maybe you could distill some of the lessons from your career that would help others build their journey.
Sure. So if you recall, I said that I don't want to be labeled as a female developer or DevOps. I want to be a developer or DevOps. And I think we need to change our mindset about how women see the future in tech. We shouldn't see it any different than how we would see a career in law, accounting, sales, or anything else. Yes, the difference in the number of men and women is still quite large, but the tech industry has come a long way and is continuously evolving and making life much, much easier for individuals to manage a work-life balance and still succeed and grow in their career. So my advice to women is, don't see this opportunity any different than any other opportunity you may have. You will still need to work hard, continuously evolve. You will have moments of self-doubt, but you can do it if you set your mind to it, no matter what career path you choose. So work on any self-doubt that you have, continuously enrich your skills, stand for what you believe in, make yourself heard, and just do what you love and passionate about. I think that's the bottom line here. So
Yeah, that's a great note, actually, believing in yourself and fighting that self-doubt that might, creep in with time, right? And it's often, needs reassurance, and seeing these role models being part of large organizations that are supportive. But that's the key thing, that everything starts from us. That is a great note, Rona, to end on. I want to thank you for your time and for sharing great and valuable insights about the industry and your company, and also being a great example to many women in tech.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been a great pleasure. Thank you so much, Rona.